Hi guys, welcome back. Today I am sporting my Winnie the Pooh shirt in case you see that behind my microphone. But welcome back to the channel. I hope that you are enjoying the Wild Robot Escapes, and I hope you're enjoying your summer. Before I get started with our story and our chapters for today, I was curious, what is your favorite summer activity? For me, I can't choose between two. There's two that I love very much. For one, I love swimming, and I don't mean just relaxing in a float or sitting in a chair by the pool. No, no, no. Not your ADHD girly Mrs. Keller. No. I like to swim laps. I like to dive down and get those little toys that you throw in the pool. I like to play toss in the pool. Football, squish ball, doesn't matter. I like to go diving. Any kind of activity where I wear myself out involving a pool, I'm there for it. This next one might surprise you based on my first favorite summertime activity, fishing. Those are two completely different vibes, but Mrs. Keller is here for both of them. I like hanging out by a riverbank. I love casting my reel. I love hanging out with Mr. Keller, listening to a podcast, or just listening to the nature sounds around us. Don't really like getting eaten by the bugs, but there are things in this place and time in the 21st century that can prevent you from getting bit as often as I used to get bit. Excuse me, I need to clear my throat a little bit here. My cute little sunshine flower mug. Cup. You know what I mean. Anyway, I'm curious, so please share in the comments, what is your favorite summertime activity? Mine is swimming and fishing. I'm not very good at fishing. I can't take a fish off of the line without a cloth of some kind because sudden movements scare me. So if I have the towel there as a barrier between myself and the fish's gills, I feel more comfortable for myself and that fish because I will be releasing said fish. What is your favorite summertime activity? I've been to a lot of sporting events this summer. I've gone to see some of my students' baseball games, lacrosse, oh goodness, swim meets. What else is going on lately? In the spring, I saw some basketball games. So share with me. Do you like just sleeping in, hanging out? Do you like staying up late? Do you like watching movies? Do you like playing outside with your friends? What do you like to do in the summer? Curious. All right. Enough mumbling. You know, I can mumble and ramble and all of those things all day long, but it is time to get into the Wild Robot Escapes by Peter Brown. We were reintroduced to Rosum unit. Let's see, what unit number is she? I already forget. Uh-oh, Rosum unit 7 something. Anyway, we were reintroduced to our girl Roz, the wild robot, in the last read aloud. And she is no longer on an island. Rather, she is on a farm with a family, a dad, a daughter, a son, and a dog. Now, last time, you might remember that Mr. Sharif, the man, the father, was going to take Roz on a tour of the farm. And that's where we're going to start today. Chapter 5, The Farm. Mr. Sharif turned and shouted, "Come here, Rambler." A moment later, a pickup truck automatically rolled out from the garage. The truck pulled up to the man and the robot, its doors wide open, and they both climbed in. Rambler had a steering wheel, but Mr. Sharif sat back and let the truck drive itself. They followed the driveway behind the house, across the backyard, past trees and hedges, and suddenly they were surrounded by farm buildings. The buildings were different sizes and shapes, all white walls with gray roofs. They were so tightly packed together, you could hardly tell where one building ended and the next one began. Some were spattered with mud. Others had holes and loose boards. The entire place smelled of grass and manure. Mr. Sharif pointed out each building to Roz. There was the enormous dairy barn, the milking parlor, the workshop, the machine shed. Smaller sheds were scattered all around. Rambler drove out from the buildings and down the back side of the hill into a wide sweep of farmland. A fence lined this part of the driveway, and behind the fence was a sprawling, rolling pasture, lush with tall grass and new and few leafy trees, where a herd of cows was grazing. The cows swished their tails and chewed their cud, and followed the truck with their eyes. One of them let out a loud, long moo. "This is a dairy farm," said Mr. Sharif. "So these cows are the queens around here. Your whole world now revolves around them. Understand?" "I understand," said Roz, as she stared at a young calf who was staring right back at her. They rolled past the herd of cows, past clumps of wild flowers, past a quiet pond, past birds and field mice and bumblebees. The driveway cut through a row of trees on its way out to the crop fields, which were flat and square and covered with bright green sprouts. Hilltop Farm was bursting with life, but it had seen better days. Patches of weeds and bare dirt were spreading across the fields. Broken down farm machines and piles of junk were strewn across the grounds. Thick tangles of brush were creeping in from the edges of the property. They drove all the way out to the farthest fields to a little roundabout at the very end of the driveway. Rambler shut off its engine, and the man and the robot sat and looked at the countryside. Far off, where the land met the sky, a train quietly slid along its tracks and disappeared to the north. Then all was still. "This farm needs help," said Mr. Sharif at last. "It's been in my family for generations, and I don't want to lose it. But I can't do farm work anymore, not with this bad leg. That's why you're here. They say Rosm robots can learn to do almost every kind of job. And you'll have to do almost every kind of job on this farm." "I understand," said Roz. "We've had auto machines for ages," Mr. Sharif went on, "but we didn't need a robot until my wife died." Those words hung into the air for a while. The silence was finally broken by a low rumble of thunder. A storm was approaching. Much like here, if you heard my little robot, I'm not going to say her name because then she will respond to me. If you heard her go off, it is because it's getting ready to rain here, and it just lets me know when it's going to rain. Anyway, the silence was broken by a low rumble of thunder. A storm was approaching. Tornado season was still months away, but in farm country, any storm could become dangerous. "Let's go home," said Mr. Sharif. Rambler started its engine and drove back up the long driveway. By the time they reached the farm buildings, a steady rain was falling, and the cows were in the barn. "This is for you," said Mr. Sharif, and he handed Roz her own computer. "That controls the farm's equipment, and it's got all the information you'll need to work here. Do you know how to use a computer?" "Yes, I know how to use a computer." Roz had never used a computer before, but she instinctively knew what to do. Clearly, the robot was designed to work with technology. "Study up tonight and start farming tomorrow," said Mr. Sharif. "You can stay in the machine shed with the other machines." "Perhaps I should stay in the barn with the cows," said Roz. "My whole world now revolves around them." The man smirked, and he said, "I like the way you think, Roz." And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is where we left off last summer. So we are moving forward. We're going to read chapter 6, and that's where we'll end today. Chapter 6 is called The Monster. The cows were munching hay in their stalls when the big barn door slid open and a mechanical monster stomped in from the rain. The creature marched down the center aisle, her footsteps echoing through the cavernous space until she found an empty corner. And there she stood, in the shadows, as a storm began to rage outside. Everybody listened as the rain poured, and the wind howled, and the thunder cracked. By midnight, the storm had blown over, and there was only a gentle sprinkling on the roof. But the herd couldn't rest with that monster lurking in the corner. Cows began quietly mooing to each other. "What is the monster doing?" "She hasn't moved in hours. I bet she's waiting to eat us in our sleep." The cows gasped at the horrible thought. And then an old cow named Annabelle tried to calm down the herd. "Relax, everyone," she said. "There were monsters like this at my last farm, and they never ate any cows. Come to think of it, they never ate anything at all." "If this monster has never eaten anything at all, she must be awfully hungry by now," said a cow named Tess. "I saw a farmer driving the monster around in his truck," said a calf named Lily. "I don't think he would have done that if she were dangerous." Nobody knew quite what to think of the strange creature in their midst. "I think the monster is harmless. I think the monster is unnatural. I think the monster is moving." The herd fell silent as the monster marched out from the shadows and into the middle of the barn. And the monster did the impossible. She did the unthinkable. She spoke to the cows in the language of the animals. "I am not a monster. I am a robot. My name is Roz." There's our Roz. We get to meet her once again. So she did not lose that information, that knowledge that she learned in the first book. We finally have learned. We weren't sure at first, but now we know for certain. She may or may not have memories that we know, but she has that knowledge, the language of the animals. So we will continue with this story tomorrow, and I hope that you have a great day. Don't forget to drop a comment and let me know, what is your favorite summer activity? Running through a sprinkler? Playing racquetball, what's that? Pickleball with your friends? Going to a Reds game or a baseball game if you live in another state with your family? What do you like to do when it's hot outside? And for those of you who are maybe watching this and you don't live in America, my students, you know, summer in other countries, sometimes it's cold. So if where you live, it's cold in the summer, what is that like for you? I can't wait to see you next time. I hope you are safe. I hope you have fun. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.